Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Coco Gauff defeats top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka 6-7, 5, 6-2, 6-4 to win her first French Open title. Coco Gauff defeats top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka 6-7, 5, 6-2, 6-4 to win her first French Open title. The clay courts of Roland Garros have seen their share of legends. Nadal's reign, Swiatek's supremacy, Graf's grace. But on a golden June afternoon in Paris, the Crimson Dust welcomed a new queen. Coco Gauff, just 21 years old and already a household name, etched her name into history by toppling world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka in a thrilling 6-7, 5, 6-2, 6-4 final to claim her maiden French Open title. It was a match of fire and finesse, of guts and growth. And when Gauff lifted the Suzanne Lenglen Cup under the blooming chestnut trees of Court Philippe Chatrier, it wasn't just a trophy she held. It was a testament to perseverance, evolution, and the undeniable rise of a new force in women's tennis. Act 1, the challenger rises. The journey to the final had not been paved in ease. Gauff had battled through the draw with fierce determination, dispatching veterans like Petra Kvitova, outlasting rising star Linda Noskova, and staging a masterclass of athleticism in a semi-final duel against Elena Rybakina. But Sabalenka was a different beast altogether. The Belarusian powerhouse, with her thundering ground strokes and terrifying first serve, had stormed through the clay season, claiming the Rome title and dropping just one set en route to the Roland Garros final. Her confidence was ironclad, her shots lethal. Many expected her to bulldoze through the American the way she had all season. But Gauff was no longer the teenager dazzled by spotlights. She was a battle-hardened competitor, matured by heartbreak and shaped by experience. Act 2, the opening skirmish. The first set played like a tug-of-war between two elemental forces. Sabalenka struck early with depth and pace, pushing Gauff deep behind the baseline. The American answered with agility, turning defense into attack, her signature backhand singing as it danced along the clay. They traded breaks, they traded roars. Each held serve under immense pressure, the crowd rising to its feet in admiration of the sheer quality on display. At 6-6, the set headed into a tiebreak, where Sabalenka's nerves were steadier. With two unreturnable serves and a forehand winner that whizzed past Gauff like a rocket, the Belarusian took the tiebreak 7-5, pumping her fist with a primal scream. Gauff walked to her chair with her head down. She had lost the first set, but her eyes, steely, focused, hinted that the war was far from over. Act 3, the storm turns. It was as if dropping the first set released something inside Gauff. She came out in the second with a stormy vengeance, her legs springing like coiled steel. She adjusted her return position, targeted Sabalenka's backhand with precision, and rushed the net more frequently, mixing up the rhythm that Sabalenka relied on. It worked. Sabalenka's unforced errors began to creep in. Her famed composure started to crack. Her eyes darted towards her box with confusion and frustration as Gauff reeled off game after game. The American broke early and consolidated, then broke again to take a 4-1 lead. With the crowd chanting Coco, Coco, the Paris air buzzed with electricity. Gauff served out the set 6-2, clenching her fist as the match leveled. The final was now a race to one set, and it was anyone's game. Act 4, the final push. The third set began with palpable tension. Both women knew the stakes. For Sabalenka, it would mean solidifying her number 1 status with a second slam. For Gauff, it was the realization of a childhood dream born in the backyards of Delray Beach, Florida. The momentum swung like a pendulum. Gauff broke in the third game, only for Sabalenka to break right back. But then came the turning point. At 3-3, on a seemingly innocuous rally, Gauff stretched to hit a running forehand down the line, a miracle shot that painted the edge of the sideline. Sabalenka stared at the mark, shook her head, and double faulted on the next point. The break was Gauff's. From there, the American surged ahead with the strength of a player who had waited years for this exact moment. She held serve for 5-3. Then returned with laser focus in the final game. Sabalenka fought valiantly, saving one match point with a fearless forehand, But on the second, she netted a routine backhand. Gauff dropped to her knees. Her racket fell from her hand. The crowd erupted. She had done it. She had conquered the world's best on tennis's trickiest surface. A champion's tears. As Gauff made her way to the net, her eyes welled with tears. Sabalenka, gracious in defeat, pulled her into a warm embrace. It was the passing of a moment, a recognition between warriors who had left every ounce of strength on the battlefield. During the trophy ceremony, Gauff thanked her team with an emotional quiver in her voice. "I've dreamed of this since I was a little girl. I used to watch Serena lift this trophy, and now I get to do the same. I'm proud, I'm grateful, and I'm just getting started." She raised the gleaming coupe Suzanne Lenglen as the French crowd cheered wildly. The moment was immortal. The legacy begun. The bigger picture, what this means. Gauff's victory isn't just a personal milestone. It's a seismic shift in women's tennis. Her win cements her place among the sport's elite. It proves that the next generation isn't waiting in the wings. They're here. They're fearless. And they're taking over. The win also marks a symbolic triumph for diversity and representation. As a young black woman succeeding at the highest levels of a global sport, Gauff continues to inspire millions. She has evolved from a precocious 15-year-old who stunned Venus Williams at Wimbledon to a polished, emotionally intelligent athlete capable of dismantling the best. Her blend of speed, shot variety, and tactical acumen makes her dangerous on any surface. But her greatest strength might be her mind, her ability to learn, adapt, and rise again after every setback. Epilogue: The Court of Dreams. As night fell over Paris and the lights dimmed on the red clay, Gauff lingered for a while longer, soaking it all in. A young girl once dreamed of moments like this, watching from the stands, clutching a tennis ball for autographs. Now she had become the moment. The echoes of victory would reverberate far beyond the courts of Roland Garros. For now, Coco Gauff is the French Open champion, and the world, watching in awe, knows this is just the beginning. Under the bright, cloud-flecked sky of Paris, a new name was etched in the clay of Roland Garros. It wasn't written with ease, nor was it inked by fate alone. It was carved with grit, passion, and an unshakable belief. Coco Gauff, the 20-year-old American prodigy, had just pulled off a stunning comeback to defeat the formidable world number one, Aryna Sabalenka, in a battle that would be talked about for years to come. 6-7-5, 6-2, 6-4. This wasn't just a final, it was a declaration. Act 1, The Warrior's Dance. The first set was a tug-of-war between two women who knew how to command a court. Sabalenka, the Belarusian powerhouse, came in as the heavy favorite, not just because of her ranking, but because of her ruthless form throughout the clay season. Her forehand sounded like gunshots, and her roars echoed across Philippe Chatrier like battle cries. But Coco came in with a different kind of power, one not always seen but always felt, the quiet strength of someone who had walked through storms and still smiled. She danced on clay with the elegance of a ballerina and the resilience of a fighter. The first set saw both players holding serve, refusing to flinch. Gauff's backhand, smooth as silk, answered Sabalenka's fire with ice. But it was Aryna who edged the tiebreak 7-5, pumping her fist as if to say, "This is mine." Gauff simply nodded. Act 2, Rise from the Clay. Something shifted in the second set. Maybe it was a change in tactics, maybe the ghost of Billie Jean whispering through the wind, or maybe it was just Coco deciding enough. She stepped inside the baseline. She began to redirect Sabalenka's raw power with angles that curved like brushstrokes. Her defense turned into counterattack, her footwork into poetry. Sabalenka, for the first time, looked shaken. Errors crept in. The American crowd found their voice. 6-2. The scoreline didn't just reflect a tennis lesson. It hinted at a transformation. Gauff was no longer the teenager trying to find her place among the elite. She had arrived. Act 3, The Battle of Belief. The final set was less a contest of strokes and more a contest of spirits. Sabalenka, with her jaw clenched and eyes narrowed, surged ahead 3-1. Her coach shouted encouragement from the stands, but there was uncertainty beneath the surface. Across the net, Gauff looked calm, focused, her breathing controlled, her gaze steady. She broke back. then held, then broke again. The crowd stood. They knew. Everyone knew. With the score at 5-4 and Gauff serving for the championship, time seemed to pause. A mist of history hung in the air. Billie Jean, Serena, Venus, ghosts and legends swirled through the Paris clay. 2 match points came and went, but on the third, Sabalenka sent a forehand long. And just like that, Coco dropped her racket. Her hands flew to her face, and the stadium exploded. She was the French Open champion. Beyond the scoreboard, a new chapter begins. This one wasn't just a statistic or a title. It was a metamorphosis. 3 years ago, Gauff was a wide-eyed 17-year-old making waves at Wimbledon. Now, she stood as a Grand Slam champion, having bested the very best under the fiercest pressure. I told myself this morning, why not me? Gauff later said, clutching the trophy shaped like a silver dream. I knew it wouldn't be easy. Aryna is incredible, but I believed, really believed, that I could do this. That belief was forged through trials, losses in major finals, criticism, the ever-present scrutiny of a young black woman in a predominantly white, elite sport. And still she rose. A final of futures. Aryna Sabalenka didn't walk off the court a loser. She walked off a warrior. Her tears in the post-match press conference didn't speak of weakness, but of how much she cared. She played lights out, Sabalenka admitted, her voice shaking. I gave it everything I had. But today was Coco's day. Their rivalry, far from over, now has a defining moment. And women's tennis? It just gained another golden thread. The city of light, the queen of clay. As the sun dipped behind the Parisian skyline, the Eiffel Tower shimmered in champagne gold, and Coco Gauff held her trophy aloft. The world watched not just a champion, but a story being written in real time. Journalists called it the dawn of a new era. Fans chanted her name. Serena Williams tweeted a single word. Yes. And somewhere in tennis clubs across Atlanta, Chicago, Manila, Nairobi, and Tokyo, little girls with dreams pressed their faces closer to the screens. Because if Coco could do it, maybe, just maybe, they could too. Epilogue, footprints in red. The next morning, long after the crowds had dispersed and the photographers packed away their lenses, an old groundskeeper at Roland Garros walked out onto court Philippe Chatrier. The clay had already been watered, the lines redrawn. But in the service box, he paused. There, still visible, was the faintest imprint of a sneaker. Coco's sneaker. He smiled. Leave it, he whispered, because some victories shouldn't be erased.